Hello and good afternoon, TVI viewers. Welcome to CrossRoads with Neethan and Shan. As you know, CrossRoads is a weekly talk show dedicated to discussing a variety of topics that are relevant to the social, economic, political, and cultural advancements of Tamil Canadians. Economic development is a critical part of any community's growth, and small businesses are the engine of a country's economy. So on today's episode of CrossRoads, we will be discussing in the first segment about how we can help to support the growth of small businesses. We have a special guest today from Canadian Tamil Chamber of Commerce, Ravi Kanagasabai. Welcome, Ravi. And Ravi has been with the Chamber for 12 years as a member, as an executive member as well. And now he's the Vice President for Internal Affairs. But more importantly, in 2013, he also received the Best Entrepreneur Award. Welcome to the show, Ravi.
Thanks for having me.
So it's going to be, the first segment is going to be about small businesses. You know, most of our businesses are either small or medium-sized businesses.
That's right.
If you look at the number of people who are engaged in this thing, right? So, and not just the economy of Canada is run through small businesses. Tamils have a huge part of it as a small business. Many of them left at times when they couldn't finish their education because of the war and started. Right? So that's why the focus is that. So Chamber is an amazing organization that is doing an important work. So through you, we want to hear a bit about how we can build better infrastructure, better support network for small business. So let's start with what are some things that are happening outside in the country, in the society, in Canada, or through projects that are helping small businesses to succeed, like yours. You own now a medium-sized business, but how did that happen, and how are the successes happening?
Actually, I just want to go back how the Chamber started. A group of people got together, and like you said, they came. Some came without nothing, only with the education and the knowledge. But with them, they brought the nature of hard working and commitment, and then giving back to the society, because that time they thought, this is a country that we are going to live in, this is a country that we want to grow, this is a country that we want to contribute. So they all got together in a basement and decided, first of all, we need to unite. We need to get together, start our own thing, and also be recognized as a group, as a community, as a Tamil community, because you know, those days we were even called so many things, right? So these people got together and started Canadian Tamil Chamber of Commerce. Now, I'm just going to fast forward and jump right to where I came into the scene. I came to the scene somewhere around 2001, 2002. And I was working for a company, and I always wanted to start my own company by simply watching these people starting their thing. And I also watched them struggle. They struggle with so many things. They struggle with a money problem. They struggle with language problem, culture problem, right? And then still, something was kind of pushing them to do it. And I joined them, and every meeting that I used to go, I used to ask questions. How do I do this? How do I start my own business? Where do I register? What about the banking? What about the lawyer? How much is it going to cost? And I just kept on asking and asking and asking. And I still remember, after about 4 meetings or something, one of the gentlemen got up and said, Ravi, you know what? You have the eagerness, you have the knowledge, you are scared, just jump, you will do it. And I call him Guru now, because he's the one who kind of pushed me into the water and said, you know, either you swim or you sink. And that's how we started. And talking about me, that's how everybody started too. Some or the other, they had some kind of interaction. Yes, they had their support from the outside the chamber and so on. But as a chamber, at that time what they did was they united the people. Imagine you stand alone and trying to run a business, and you're running and running and running. How do you know that you're heading in a good direction? Yes, you are making money. Yes, you have to contact, but you come back to chamber, you mingle with people who have done this before you on different field. You get their ideas, get their understanding, you know, the small tips that they give you, and you kind of refine your business. That's what the chamber is all about, helping the small business to refine. They're not going to come and tell you, or they never came and told you and said, okay, you're good at this, start your own business. Here's a booklet. They were there, and then we were able to call. And not only that, when you mingle, when you have this networking, you become friends. So it is no longer, it is a competition in between, but it's a healthy competition. It's not something that, it's not a cutthroat business, so to speak. So that's where the chamber kind of enhance the small business, saying, giving them ideas, giving them the tools, directing them. You know what, people directed me, even though my business was the first Tamil business in Canada, the fire prevention, fire protection. Nobody has done it before. Still, how much support they gave me on the legal side of things, on the banking side of things, and then which I needed, because I thought just because I'm good in something, then I'll be able to start. But you have the other side too, right?
So there are a couple of different groups. Now, the initial group of business owners were mostly first generation immigrants. Many of them left in their teenage or later parts of their teenage or early 20s and so on. They had struggled with many barriers like cultural and language barriers and so on, but also a kind of broken education time, because they couldn't complete, some of them, not all of them.
Right.
So they had a bit of a support network at those times, right? Now we're seeing a lot of young people who were born here or were brought into Canada at a young age, graduating and not finding employment in the field that they graduated in. And self-employment or business has become an attractive option for many of them as well, right? So it's the next generation of Tamils who are still entrepreneurial in many ways, right? So what kind of external support do they get? In addition to Chamber, do you think Canada has enough support for our young people and people who are newcomers trying to start a business? What kind of support are they receiving?
Well, I don't think Canada provides enough support to people. I look at things in a different way. You can call me, I'm from old school. So that's why maybe my opinion is a thing. But to me, what I'm trying to say is, the younger generation, they have all the tools, right? They have all the tools. And the difference between the younger generation and the older generation did business in the community, with the community. Younger generation is blessed. They have an opportunity now to do the business with mainstream.
Beyond,
But they need a solid footing. They need a foundation. So the Tamils community is their solid footing, and from there they launch, right? And they also come back because they also come back and get help from Canadian Tamil Chamber of Commerce, asking them how it's done. For example, if a person wants to, the other day I was introduced to a gentleman who used to do some electrical work, and then he knew about fire alarm, and then he didn't know what it was. Yes, he did online research and so on. So on the theory side, he had everything. But theory is not everything. You got to know. You got to learn from a gentleman who have done it, a person who have done it. So I was introduced, and I was able to guide him and talk to him, so on. So coming back to your thing, whether Canada has the full support, I don't think so, because Canada cannot fully support everybody's dream. It's a community. It's some kind of organization that they are associated with. So my thing is,
the ownership has to be on the individual.
Exactly, and they should know, where can I draw, where can I go for my support.
Now the mentorship is a double-edged sword in some ways, because in business, when your business was unique in some ways, and it's still unique, and not too many people do it, right? But when you get mentored by people of the same field, we kind of see a proliferation of certain fields more. There was a period when there were so many grocery stores or so many textiles and jewelries, and we've seen that they open up and close for a period of time. And I think maybe a decade or 2 decades ago for a significant period. And then forget real estate. That is another area that has but it has a lot of demand as well. But when you talk about shops opening and businesses opening and closing, and businesses struggling in the sense that the entire family is working in there, right? At the end of the day, are they taking enough? If you put salaries together for the family, right? Is it ultimately leading up to enough income for them, right?
Actually, that's a very, very valid point. Very good question. But I want to be honest about it. I just want to know exactly how those people look at, because I knew a few people they looked at. They didn't have any other choice. So their only choice is to do business with the Tamil community. So they started shops, right? And they didn't know anything else. They didn't know how to do it. Like I said, they had their own confidence to do it. They knew how to do it. But they have to rely on the community. Community buying the community stuff that's coming from Jaffna or from Colombo or the food that we eat, the saris and the clothes that we wear. So they all clustered together and they started. And then what happened? The revenue started coming down. So when the revenue started coming down, you had to cut the quality. So for example, you go to a shop and there are 5 people. Now the revenue is less. So they have to cut the staff, they became 2 people. Now when you have 2 people, you go stand there, and then it takes for the customer take longer time to get the service. So those things happen. Yes, the survival of the fittest. the fit survived. But I wouldn't say, or I wouldn't even think that it was a unhealthy competition. It was who survived and who did it. But when you look at the current generation, they have the internet, they have the website, so they can even go and talk, get stuff from China, or they can go directly to a country and then get it from there. They don't have to travel. But those days it was all by either by phone or by mail or something. So it's a two different way of handling things. So the younger generation, if you look at it, their business survive. Their rate of survival is much more bigger, longer than the people who did it. Yes.
Work ethics may not be the same, or the dedication in terms of amount of time being put into making something successful, right?
That's right. But you got to give it to them. They are smarter. Because the older generation worked hard. Younger generation working smart. That's two different things. Back home, that's what we told. Work hard, work hard, work hard. And it was embedded. We were conditioned that way. But here, younger generation sees the struggle that the parents went through, and they look at
go through the same thing again.
They go say, you know what? How can I fine tune this? How can I do this better? And they did it, and more power to them.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, our younger generations in the Tamil community have excelled in many fields, including the business field right now, in diversifying themselves too. It's not the same field as well, and their marketing strategies are very innovative and creative as well. So, so definitely, there's definitely huge potential for growth. Let's talk a bit about any other factors that exist that kind of are not helping or hindering the growth. Can you think of any specific things that are not supporting or not?
I think one of the things that is hindering the business is unity. For some reason, still, I would honestly say that we are not united. We are failing to look at certain communities and not learning from them. We think we are unique. Yes, we are. There's no question about it. We went through a lot. And we went through a lot, and we survived, and we excelled. We gave great education to our kids. Our kids are excelling in everything. But we are not united. Because we are not united, that's where the everything part. Because at whatever said and done, if we don't grow as a community, I don't mind even going to a Chinese community or a Jewish community. I mean, I do business with them, and their first thing is they will always give their people the chance. It is given. If their community can't do it, in fire prevention, there are one or two companies, they will say, let me do it. Anything that is extra, they'll, then they will give to other thing. So I think that's where we have to have a kind of, it kind of push us back, because it took us a long time to realize that we should, if you work together, it's going to be a good thing. But I don't see that. That's a great hindrance. The other thing is also, we felt that by teaching someone, that person is going to be a competition. Right? But we never thought by teaching that person, maybe I can expand. Maybe I live in Brampton, there's another gentleman lives in Scarborough. I can do a building because Scarborough too far for me. I'm scared to give the person because I think that person might take it and then go on. So those fears are the one that hinders us, because we are not still smart enough to understand the strength that we have.
Well, my next question is mostly about our businesses' support for community efforts, right? So whether it's cultural, sports, political, our business is always there to help. And many a times it feels like many of the small businesses are being targeted over and over again to help many of the community causes, which is fine. But is it a viable option? Are they doing it out of goodwill, or are they really getting businesses out of some of these sponsorships and other things? Because it seems like there's a lot of support that is coming from. It not seems like, I'm sure, I'm confident that a lot of support from businesses are coming to our community infrastructure, whether it's arts, culture, religion, you name it, right? So how does that become a sustainable model?
It's a great question, and I have to be very careful how I choose my words on this one. I don't want to, You're right. Certain business are targeted every year, over and over and over again, to the point where they get drained. Are they getting any business out of the sponsorship? Absolutely No. I could speak out of my experience too. The sponsors I do, but here's the thing again, because we are Tamils, we are used to giving. We understand where we came from. We want that event to succeed. We want us to showcase our function or whatever. So we sponsor, because we know if we don't do it, do it. You know.
Many business people would say, you know, I'm busy doing this, but you're doing this good work, so I want to help.
Right.
Because they feel like they wanted to do this too,
Right.
but they have to spend enormous amount of time doing the businesses.
Right.
So they see that as somebody else doing what they wanted to do to help. Right?
You know, you remind me of, I know this is in English, but there is in Tirukkural, there is a words. It clearly says, even the sea will dry, it'll dry out. They said even the sea will dry out when the water that evaporates from the sea go up, became clouds. If it doesn't rain, even the sea will dry out. Our community will dry out. If the business people don't support to sustain enough, it will dry out. Our community is something that people have to focus on. Because I have noticed, and I can honestly say, people who thought that they don't need the community support, standing on their own, has kind of turned back and said, you know what, I need some kind of backup. And it's a given fact. You take any community, tell me people stand individually, that they're not connected. It can be any community. Because you have to understand, Canada is a community-oriented country. Right? It's not a melting pot where everything goes together and then you become something like that. Right? So you're right, it is getting targeted, and I would take this opportunity to challenge the organizers to come with different ideas.
Diversify
it. Go out and get other people involved, other community involved, and say, hey, look at us. You know?
We're coming closer to the end of the segment. I want to ask about youth and women. Underrepresented in many of our organizations, you know, particularly women underrepresented, and let alone in a business-related organizations and so on, right? So what is being done, both as an organization, but also as a community, to encourage more women to get into businesses, also encourage more young people to get into businesses?
I know, talking about Canada Tamil Chamber of Commerce, that was one of our main thing that we always want to push. And yes, we have a long way to go. We want more youth to come in. We will try our level best to have youth. We also have women to come in and take over. And even now at our current board, there are two ladies who are members. One is the internal, she's a VP for the finance, and the other one is one of the directors who have joined and doing a great job. Yes, we want them to come and so on and so on. Yes, it lacks a lot. Women are not coming up in front to do it. And to encourage women, every year we give the best woman entrepreneur of the award to encourage them to go on. Yes, we've been.
But what about like mentorship programs or things that are more specifically targeted to?
I think
like even a media campaign that promotes.
I think that is something that we should think. But here's the thing, though. Here's something that I always, when I go to any function, I see all these ladies. They are friends, they are mingle, and so on and so on. It begs the question, how can they get together and have their own women organization, a women's thing or something, where they get together, they tell their husband, they come home, this is a women's club, not a club, I don't want to use the word as a club, but an organization where you mentor one on each other. Because I cannot go and talk to a person. How do I advise
How do you relate?
How do I relate to a woman who had just given birth? But my wife can. So if they get together, out of everything, they can get together, talk about it, and then if one or two women who are there, who have started their own business, then they can start, and it can spread like wildfire. There is the initiative have to come from women too. This is something.
But we can, the organization that have the power or maybe the infrastructure may provide the forum to do it. It's
you know what?
It's one of those things. You know, initiative may come, but also we have to figure out how do we provide some space or forum for that to emerge, right? Because there's some sort of initial momentum that needs to be given, right? So let's wrap up by asking about Chamber itself, entering into 25 years next year, a big year for Chamber, a big year for everybody who has been involved in Chamber for 25 years. but also big year for Tamil businesses as well, as a body that represents Tamil business, right? So what's the vision moving forward?
The vision is, I'm so excited. 25 years. It is not 1 year, it's not 2 years, 10 years. It's 25 years. That's an achievement. That's a milestone. And it want to continue for another 150, 200 years. So next year is 25 years, and Chamber has particularly chosen certain people to run the whole the organization. Have chosen them to say, you guys are in charge of this 25th year anniversary functions. So it's going to be a 2-day event.
Oh, nice.
And I don't want to say, I don't
Yeah,
want to
we
let
would hear.
I don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
Out of the bag.
But I definitely it's going to be a 2-day event, a huge organized thing. Time to be proud, time to stand tall and say, you know what, look at us. We've been here for 25 years. And people will look at it and say, you know what, this community has grown, and they've started 25 years. And like I said, again, that's another topic, another day.
Yeah, and it's a symbol of our resilience, right?
Symbols
coming through a difficult time and how we bounce back from difficult time to make ends meet,
So,
but then became successful in businesses and so on. So thank you very much, Ravi, for taking the time
thanks
to
for
come
having me.
and sharing all these insight from your personal, professional business experience, but also as a collective representative of the Chamber of Commerce from the Canadian Tamil community. Thank you, and we'll see you soon to hear more about the celebrations coming up next year. Thank you.
Likewise.
So viewers, we had Ravi Kanagasabai from Canadian Tamil Chamber of Commerce talking to us about how we can continue to facilitate a strong growth of small businesses in our community. In the next segment, following the commercial breaks, we would talk about a Tamil festival that is coming to Scarborough soon in a couple of months. Stay tuned.